No.
So we're live right now, and so I usually wait a couple seconds so it gets on Facebook, and then it gets on YouTube. But at the same time, most people, until we get this show going, most people will probably won't catch it live unless we get an exact time. So knowing that most people will watch it on the replay, I don't want to have too much waiting around, right? Because I'm waiting around for the people who come live, which is few. Like you'll see here soon that'll alert you. That's going to be on live. So it's usually a couple minutes before someone actually, they actually start going on. I've got a counter over here, right, that you can't see.
No.
That that will tell me how many people are on. A lot of times, what I do is I'll have some type of monitor on with the sound off, so I can see.
Sure.
So, like right now, we got one person as log who is watching. Yeah. I don't know. It looks pretty good. Look, this is what it looks like on the phone. Can you see that?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah.
All right. So what is that, an iPhone that you have, or what is
it's an Android.
Okay, I'm an Android guy too. We're the freaks, right? Or
yeah,
so
exactly.
They tell us, right? If you have an Android, you're supposed to be the oddball. But I
know
Android sales are supposed to be like 66%, but the media wants to make us think we're the oddballs. Am I right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So, I guess we'll talk a lot about that as we talk about current events, politics, even, right? I know you're a bold guy on politics, right?
Oh yeah, big time.
Okay. Hello. Welcome to, well, this isn't Workouts for Older Men Live, although we could talk about fitness. I'm working on a title of this name, Better Than Expected, right? So one thing I've known, and welcome to this live broadcast, and let me just go ahead and introduce you to this handsome face on the screen and tell you what we've got planned for you here. Michael 𝗪𝗓𝗏, right? Got the last name, right? Yeah. So Michael is extremely passionate about fitness. He looks amazing. He's 65 years old. He's got an amazing story, but
67.
67. Okay. And he's super fit and really passionate, and someone I connected with, and then actually coached for a while too. And and he's got an amazing story, not just his physical fitness passion, but his energy. And so, how we came up with the show that I'm going to call Better Than Expected. Tell me, guys, what do you think of that? And if you're watching the replay version, you want to catch this live to get in on the conversations as we do it live. But this is kind of our kickoff show. We just were experimenting over on TikTok too. Make sure on all my social media platforms. So this one, well, I think hold on a second. Oh, we lost Michael. So we'll get him back here. So Michael, click that link again and you'll come back on. Yeah, so what this is that, so you know me, I mean, I'm about not distracting you with fitness strategies, eating strategies, workout strategies that aren't important but interesting, because a lot of men, they just want to learn how to get fit, and most of the information is interesting and exciting, makes a great video, right? Gets a lot of views, but it's not the stuff that you need to hear, right? The basic things that really matter aren't talked about enough. So, what my promise to you is just pound the basics, help you understand this, because that's probably the missing piece. There's not these game changer strategies that a lot of men think, but that's what's presented most of the time. So, being that's my brand, hold on, let me get Michael on here again. Okay, there you go. Was that you? Okay, so there you go.
Stupid.
2, 1. All right, here we go. All right, so you're back. And so, the thing about it, what I've realized doing this for 34 years is, yes, we want to get fit, but sometimes fitness is more than that. It's a sense of control. It's the confidence that we get, healthy. It calms any, as we get older, to stay in shape, to be functional, maybe we have friends or our parents are dying or whatever. So fitness is more than just about building muscle and losing body fat. That's its entry level, but we find out we want more, right? It's about life. It's about quality of life. And so in addition to talking about fitness, let's talk about some interesting things. Let's dovetail on current events, right? Well, I know you guys come here and you like watching it, but I'm talking about lightweight with more reps versus heavy weight versus fewer reps. You can only hear that so many times, right?
Right.
But I got to stick to basics. So now I want to answer any of your fitness questions too, but let's talk about, life here too. Thought it'd be an interesting way to mix the two in, because I think they're mixed in anyway too. So if you're watching this live, say hello, hello, hello. Our workouts for older men live greeting. Again, I think I'm going to call this, my working title is Better Than Expected, right? About our goals, our ambition. Even though we're a little bit older, man, we got to sprint to the end here with everything we got, living with a sense of urgency rather than limping to the end. And, I know life deals all of us, no matter what it appears, a lot of bumps and bruises. Michael, I always say that life is not for the faint of heart.
Oh.
Yeah. And, by this age, a lot of us may have smiles. You might catch us in our element, but we're battered and bruised and bouncing back just like everybody else, right? So this is a good place to talk about it, because a lot of men, they don't have a place to talk about that, right? So keep it positive, but know you're not alone, right, through the story. So, Michael Ciavarini, he lives in Florida and Massachusetts. Are you permanently down in Florida?
Well, I'm permanently down here. I still have my house in Massachusetts, but we got to sell it. So it's time to let it go.
All right. So, like Michael, in addition to being in amazing shape at 67 years old, and he's amazingly fit and amazingly strong and functional too. All right. I want to talk about your injury and how you came back from that injury too. It's so strong. I mean, you would think that, if you get injured and you're older, it must take forever to recoup. Like I said, I do have a lot of high school students, and they tear their ACL. I'm always surprised nowadays how fast they come back, but I didn't know it's that good for you. Now, were you a special case? Did you get extra special care, or is that just what they do now? Talk about your injury. A lot of guys are afraid of injury, and they really train around. Yeah. So tell me about your injury. Tell me about the recovery. How you
injuries of it. We all don't want to go there because we don't have a lot of time left, and for recovery is that's time away from your sport. Whether for me it's pickleball, softball, and I had gotten on the sprint team. And it did a lot for me, but it really accelerated problems in my joints. Sprinting is very, very hard on the body. However, if you're good at it, it'll make you good in other sports. And it really made me faster on the softball field, faster on the pickleball court. I play a lot of singles. And so I tore the meniscus in my right knee, which is not a very bad, thing to do. And I had it operated on, and they just go in, trim it up, and it swells up, and then you recover. But what happened was, after I was done with it, even the doctor said, "You're done with this meniscus. It's over with." But my knees, both knees really seized up, and they got stiff. I mean, I would have to get up and walk from piece of furniture to piece of furniture, and I played pickleball in pain. It just made everything miserable.
So the other knee was compensating for the compromised one knee, right?
Could have been. Okay. And I went 2 years in suffering, going from doctor to doctor. I mean, Boston, Wellesley, the best guys you can talk from Florida to there. And I tell you, I beat it. And when I would pick up like 80-pound dumbbells from the squat, from the rack, and walk them over, I felt like my knees were just going to collapse. And today, just lifting today, picking up those dumbbells, walk over to the bench, no problem at all. and I beat it with food. Food,
Mm.
diet, and I eliminated all of the inflammation out of my body. And I got down to 153 pounds. I'm 12.2% body fat, and I got lean and kept the muscle and the speed. I mean, I play guys in pickleball, and sometimes they have to take a break. You know, I'm like, hey, this is just rec play. You know, take a break, get water, whatever you want. But I never tire. I never sit between games. It's like next for 2 to 3 hours in a row, you know, of singles and high level game. And, you know, it's just food has become everything. It's like you said, you know, you always told me, you know, food it's not a pleasure sauce, it's fuel. And once I identified the fuel, that was the foods that just, you know, made me fat, kept the body fat on me, and I eliminated them. And I incorporated some intermittent fasting along the way. The body fat just fell off. Just fell off.
Well, tell me about the foods you avoided, right? Because that's becoming more and more popular.
Well,
right?
you know, you can get into macros, okay? And I work with a buddy of mine, and he's 69, and the two of us go back and forth. He's in California, and we send each other pictures every day. Proof of life, we call it. I went to the gym today. Here's my picture, and it's fun. It's always good to have a workout buddy, but you know, and he's really into macros. I mean, really into it. And I believe macros are great. You know, tracking, you know, your food intake, your calories, your fat, protein, you know, that stuff. But once I really dug deeper into macros, like I could eat potatoes, you know, hash browns, that kind of stuff, have the big breakfast, and it would meet my macros. But I would never lose that fat. I couldn't get out of the 170s. And once I eliminated potatoes, bread, sugar, okay? I mean, cereal, forget it. In other words, if it comes in a bag, a box, or a can, I'm not eating it. I mean,
forget about the body. Didn't you feel so much better?
You can't believe. I mean, Skip, I eat today. What I do is, if I'm done eating around 7 o'clock, let's say, I won't eat again till, like, I'll get up in the morning, go play pickleball on an empty stomach, and you don't feel hungry at all. And then I'll come home maybe around 1 o'clock. Then I'll break my fast. So that's about 17 to 19 hours without any food. And I'll tell you, if you stay busy, I've gone 26, 30 hours without eating. A lot of water. Without eating.
You know, I think that too, a couple things. One is, see, you're very, very lean. You've done the work. I don't think, you know, fasting and very few calories, that's good after you look the way that you want. If you're carrying 40 pounds, you're going to lower your BMR going all that time without eating, right? And you're never going to lose that. So I think for longevity's sake, it's eating as few calories as you can, but you got to look the way you want to look before you do that, right? Because you're not going to lose the fat by eating so few calories. But you know, that's what the studies say, you know, that eat as little food.
I eat the calories, but I eat it in 2 meals. Like I'll eat 1 pound to 1.5 pounds of chicken a day.
Right. So what would you say, those 2 meals, 1,000-calorie meals, 1,200 calorie meals?
Tons of chicken and broccoli. You know, why broccoli? It's easy to cook. You know, does it taste good? Yeah. You know, it's broccoli. You know,
I can't stand broccoli.
I know, but I throw it in the saute pan with a lot of salt and some butter, and then the broccoli, and then the chicken.
It's real. Is the broccoli really wilted? You
know, sometimes.
Like it crunchy, huh?
Yeah, well, I try and crunch it up in a saute pan, and with very little oil and you know, avocado oil. But I'll tell you, removing the inflammation out of your body will solve so many problems. I mean, my knees right now, they tell me, are so bad that I tried to get in a free clinic to get stem cells, and they rejected both knees because they're that far gone.
Mm.
Now, most people would get 2 knee replacements, and yet I feel phenomenal. I'm in the squat rack. I mean, I don't squat the weight I used to. It's not
Sure.
necessary anymore.
Right.
But my knees feel great, and I play pickleball singles. I don't have any problems at all. No pain, nothing. And I went from being practically not being able to walk, and I did it on my own with diet.
Yeah,
With
let's
food.
talk about it. So you hear about inflammation. So the thing, I just, I've always been fit. I never went through a fat stage or anything like that, right? So I've always been fit. So, but I just felt like I didn't have energy. I don't know, like you said, I got a almost an 11-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a lot of responsibility at this age of life, and I got to have a lot of energy. So I didn't feel like I had a lot of energy on the outside. I looked good and I worked out, but and I just started cutting out all, because I know how to eat and I know how to incorporate cheap meals into it, right? And so my kids, and I said, I'm just going to stop eating this stuff. It's convenient, even though I look good. And I tell you, when I do something, I just cut it all out. Like no packaged food, no processed food.
Exactly.
And within 2 weeks, I just felt like amazing. Like there was such a night and day difference. It was like the world was going black and white, and all of a sudden some color. You don't even know because it goes so gradually, right?
That's right.
Think about this, right? And I know you got a lot of political points of view, and you can always follow the money, right? About what's true and what's not true. And and I was thinking, how can something that can sit on the shelf for a year, how can that be good for you, right? Right? Think about it. And what are they putting in it so it lasts for a year?
Yeah,
and why is
soybean oil and corn oil. You gotta learn how to read labels.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta read the labels.
Yeah, but but the thing about it is, do you even know what they say? But the point is that why does it last so long on the shelf? Is that to feed the world's population? No, it's because you make more money and you don't have to turn your dollars and turn your product, right?
Exactly.
Because if it lasts on the shelf, you can have less inventory, more sales. It's all about money, right?
Yep.
That's not what's best for your body. And they start rationalizing, well, this is okay for you, right? Well, says who? And who's paying the person to influence the study or whatever, right?
Yep.
There's a lot of money to be made and be lost. And I was thinking, well, I know when we're older, the body, I don't care what kind of shape you're in, the body, from how the blood circulates to the oxygen, you may be fine for your age, but it doesn't, everything just, I don't care how healthy you are, it doesn't work as well as you get older. And so now you got to do that cardio, not to burn body fat, but to keep the oxygen flowing,
to keep your joints,
and everything, right?
Yeah, well, motion is lotion, right? We've all heard that, and so it's so true.
Yeah, and so I said to my wife, I go, well, if I can feel this dramatic, why would we ever feed that to our kids?
Exactly.
11 and 9. I mean, because of course, being young, they can I get that part. They can get away with that. Or do they? You talk about attention spans when your kid doesn't listen. Is that your parenting? Are they slow? Could it be the diet? Well, why would you feed your kids that? Because everybody else does? Because everybody's hypnotized by what society does? Because they get away with it? Right? If it doesn't work well for me, how is that going to work well with them? Right? And not to be like a food Nazi, but man, it's like, when people come to me, I got to explain to them that food is a drug. It's how you use it, right? And it just really is. And a lot of guys, they want to go to the workouts and things like that and skip by, but it goes back to it. Just like cardio, for that example. I don't do cardio, right? Well, this
I don't know.
Get lean. No, I'm saying a lot of guys do it. I think you should do it, but you do a lot of cardio. You're playing pickleball all the time, right?
I'm on the field, so that's my cardio.
Right.
But in the gym, I'm never on any of those machines.
Yeah, I'm talking. You're really active, playing a lot of sports. Yeah, a lot of time. I mean, a lot of guys are still working right now, even though whatever age, and so they're not really moving at all. And so you do cardio, right? And it's not about building muscle; it's about for overall health. Right. So, and the
I mean,
thing is,
what was amazing is I went to urgent care on Tuesday. I flew back to Massachusetts and got a little flu. So I go to urgent care, but I got there early, opened at 8, it was 7:22. So I had to sit in my car 40 minutes. And I watched people drive and come to work. And I saw 4 people come to work. All 4 of them got out of their car with a big gulp, Dunkin' Donut thing, Starbucks thing. And I say, so what you're doing is you're spiking your sugar, spiking your insulin levels. They're now at 10 o'clock, you're going to be hungry again. So you're going to eat maybe a donut or some kind of crap. And so you're keeping your insulin levels high all day. Your pancreas is working like crazy. Then you're going to have some junk for lunch. And you see how 99% of the people who go to the gym, and you see them there regularly every week, never look like they go to the gym. And yet today, I was there with my buddy Gary. He's my age, 67, and he's 139 pounds. You ought to see how much muscle this guy has. The 2 of us are there in our tight compression shirts, sleeveless, and the trainer came up to us and he goes, "Hey, you guys, why don't you guys go in the back?" he says to us, it's like, and so many people walk up to me and say, what do you eat? And I just kind of look at him and I say, you won't eat the way I eat. You just won't. And if you want to look like you actually do go to the gym, the food is it's everything. And that's what you taught me. I mean, this is what they say in the villages. This is the place where women can't get pregnant and all the men look like they're pregnant.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I mean, there's some major bellies in this place. Major.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, like, I'm fascinated by the villages in Florida because, I hear about it all over the country.
Right.
And, it's a lot of, now, so Mike and I were going to get our stick together on, talking about current events. And one thing I said is that when you do live, we were just on TikTok, we're kind of talking about the same thing. So we got to get it straight. Didn't we just talk about this? Right. So it's a new audience. And I was talking about the villages, the older men and women who end up there. It's such a series of good choices in their entire life, or coming back strong from bad choices. And who ends up there, and I'm fascinated by, like, what are they like? Are they similar? And Michael, tell them the story how just randomly 4 of your friends all ended up in Florida. Yeah, tell them that story.
Yeah, well, my first job at a college was in software in 1980. So I started for this company in Newport, Rhode Island called Equidnic Data Corporation. And today, almost 50 years later, 4 of my close friends that were there working as 20-year-olds hired out of college live here. I mean, what are the odds? And we get together at least twice a month, watch the Bruins, Celtics, we're all from New England, and, just go to Cody's, but it's kind of funny, like when we sit down and I watch, Charlie's always been a big guy, good athlete, but 300 pounds. Oh, I'll have the onion rings and and it's like, and I'm sitting there with my steak and broccoli, you know what I mean? No appetizer, no beer, and it's like you say, it's choices. You know what I mean? And
I've just been fascinated with, as I try to improve, and I might be great in some areas and I'm challenged in others, just like everybody else, right? But I'm just thinking, how can that select 1% end up in the villages, right? What series of choices? Because
it's amazing.
Super fit like you, but then there's a 300-pounder like you.
Yep.
What's common is, the probably college and the startup company. So is it a series of financial decisions? I mean, we talked about, so you've been married for 43 years. So
43 years, yeah.
Right.
I mean, 145,000. I look at it and it is amazing. 145,000 people living in this place. And we all have everything we ever wanted. You want a Corvette, we all live in beautiful houses. We got golf carts. We got every toy you can imagine. And so we all made the right choices financially to get us to a place where we don't have to work, and yet money comes in every month, and whether it be from pensions, investments, all of those sources where none of us have to work. I mean, think about it. Every day is just like there's no pressure anymore. And that's why this place is so refreshing, because you're around people your age and no one is under that pressure anymore. So everyone is just themselves, and no one ever talks about it. Nobody ever talks about where you live, what kind of house you live in, and nobody cares. But we're here, and we treat each other very well. We're all polite on the courts. We're all polite in playing sports, even though we want to win really bad. And but not at the expense of others. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If somebody shows up and they're, hey, I just started playing, some guys would be like, oh, geez, but we're accepting and say, hey, I'll play. Yeah, I'll play with you. No problem. It's just rec play. There's no trophy. There's no money on this game. Let's just show you how to play. I'll give you some pointers. I wish somebody did that when I started. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a great place to be, where you're financially fit and you have the mental freedom, to really put a passion behind your workouts, work to failure, do the reps, you know what I mean? And then go home and eat properly, and it comes naturally because you're not under a lot of pressure. It's a wonderful life.
Yeah, so from my vantage point, that's admirable. I respect all the decisions they made, and again, it's not just one decision; it's a series of decisions.
It's a series. Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
What happiness, fulfillment? That sounds like a great life. I mean, you have an energy value. That's why I want to do the show with you, right? Your energy, right? Would you say that everybody who's worked themselves in that position, that they're generally happier, more fulfilled, calmer? I mean,
there's no question that people. I got to go in my office and plug in. I got 5% on my phone, and put the lights on here. I would say no question about it that once you remove that stress, out of your life, that everyone is much more happier. People are just in a good mood. You know what I mean? And it's wonderful to be around. I mean, when you're in the villages, you're around people your own age all the time. I mean, we never see young people, never see them. And it's kind of refreshing because we all grew up in the same 60s and the 70s. And so we all have the same background pretty much, but we live without that stress. And it's a wonderful thing. It really is.
Let's we'll kind of get into some more things like that. I find that fascinating. But let's talk about your fitness. You're extremely fit at 67 years old. I'm gonna put some pictures and some videos, like how tall are you, how much do you weigh, and then talk about how much you incline dumbbell bench press, or
So I'm 67, and I'm 5'7", and I weigh 153 pounds. And the scale says I'm 12.2 body fat. And so I'm extremely lean. I mean, waist around 32, 31, pants wise, slim cut, and I wear size smalls and extra smalls. It's amazing. And, so as far as like benching, when I was bulking, when you were teaching me how to bulk, I could bench press 225, not a lot, but I could. So my bench was never really strong, but dumbbells, I got as high as 100 pounds, and I could do those for 3 reps. And then I settle in now at about 80 to 70 pound dumbbells, and I can press those, 10, 12 reps.
Yeah, no, that's a lot. That's a lot of weight for it. What'd you say, 157? Is that what you said? How much do you weigh?
153 pounds.
153. That's a lot of weight, so, I'll do dumbbells, like with 100-pound dumbbells, and they see me, but I'm 5'11", I weigh 214 pounds and lean, right? Wow. So been doing this for a while.
Long time, man.
What's that? Yeah. And so I'm doing 100 pounds, and they see me doing 8 reps, and they go, "There's no way." A 6-year-old should be lifting that weight. You're going to tear off an arm and everything. I go, you see me struggling here? So, you know, that you doing 170 pounds at, you know,
Yep.
at your height and weight, I mean, it's relative.
Right.
But
I mean, I've done 100, like I used to do a lot of push-ups. I love doing push-ups. I think my record is 100 and 1 minute, 42 seconds. Did 100. And, you know, one rest, I can do like 75 in a row. I can do like 14 pull-ups, chin-ups, you know. Let's see what else. Oh, ab wheel. I got into the ab wheel. I've done 100 of those without stopping. You know, it's, it really is amazing. My times, like in the 50-meter dash when I was on the sprint team, before I kind of, you know, did a little too much. My time was about, I think I ran the 50 in about 7.6, and I ran the 100 in 12.8. Not too bad, you know, respectable.
Well,
I think I ran the 200 in 30 seconds.
So what'd you run the 50-meter in?
7.6.
7.6.
Yeah, right around where your kid is.
Yeah, right. I think at the diocese he was 7.78.
Yeah.
Right? So and you were 7.6, so you beat.
Yeah, I ran that in Gainesville. Yeah, at the senior games. Yeah, I got second place medal for that.
Okay, but
yeah,
how many people, even men, run past the age, let alone sprint at past the age of 40?
Quite a few. You'd be surprised. There's quite a few.
Well, there's quite a few by numbers, but not by percentage of men. Yeah, right.
No.
Yeah. So, so have you always been fit? I think I've seen pictures of you running like a Boston Marathon or something like that.
Yeah, I ran the Boston Marathon. When I was 44, I was 166 pounds. Okay. And yeah, I remember that. Ran the Boston Marathon, in 2001.
So you've always been fit, and you weren't just fit, you were athletic, softball, track and field, football. You played flag football too.
Yeah, I played some flag football,
Yeah. No, that's great, in the gym. So let me ask you, so on the villages, like how, let's just get into something controversial, right? You know, so like, what percentage is Republican versus Democrat in the village?
Oh, down here, it's got to be like 98% conservative.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's what I think. Yeah. So
yeah, very conservative here.
Yeah.
We love Trump down here in DeSantis. We're glad DeSantis didn't do well in the presidential because we need him to be governor.
Yeah. So what are you looking forward to, another Trump presidency?
Boy, I'll tell you, I hope so. I mean, we had everything then. I mean, everything was cheap, making a ton of money in the stock market, and interest rates were low. I mean, so we had it all. You know, and now this Democratic regime comes in trying to change America into a socialist European Marxist country, and you know, they open the border on purpose.
The thing about Trump is that he just owns everybody's mind. I mean, it's like, to me, it was so exhausting. You know, the whole world revolved around one man, basically. Don't you think?
Well, I think I think he was trying to weed out the corruption, and I don't think he calculated on how deep and how powerful these people are. I mean, he sees it now. I mean, look what they're doing to him. I mean, today, of course, being retired, I get to follow it, and the court case today was just it was unbelievable what came out today, and how this judge doesn't throw this case out, but he's bought off. You know, he's corrupt, and it's awful. What we're seeing America turn into is just it's very sad. A lot of people here are sad. There's a big retired military presence here, and these people are they're beside themselves to watch what's happening to America. It's really sad. You know, I hope Trump gets in. I mean, I know the Democrats are going to do everything they can to cheat the ballot box. I mean, they're going to do everything. And because Biden's numbers are so bad, and but they don't change policy. They don't change it.
The very select few are going to scorch and burn all of us. You
I
go
know.
along with it, you know, and then they get everybody to choose their sides on their teams. And why are we on your teams? We're not going to benefit from this. We're going to be
Exactly.
hurt by all this. Yeah, yeah. This thing is just a circuit. It is too much, you know.
It is. Yeah, you can't, you know, and you can't let it affect you. You know, you got to live your life and, you know, and deal with it. You know, we call this place the bubble. We're here. We live in our little artificial world where all the landscaping is perfect and everything is perfect. And, you know, and we play our pickleball and softball and whatever clubs you're interested in. You know, and we don't talk about any of this ever, you know, on the courts or anything. Never.
Yeah. Well,
politics doesn't come up.
I like the life lessons, right? As we're all going through this, right?
Exactly.
You've been married for 34 years. I mean, that's an incredible accomplishment. Now, probably not to you. Probably that's just the way you are. There was no other option. I don't know. Tell me about that. What's the secret to be married for 34 years?
I think you got to pick the right partner. You know, I mean, if the two of you are really headstrong, that's going to be a problem. You know, there has to be a leader. You know what I mean? And and then a supporting cast. You know, and that's always worked very well for us.
Yeah, you know, I deal with a lot of men being really passionate about personal development, taking my life to higher and higher levels. You know, and accentuating all the good stuff in life that I'm good at, but also, you know, working on because we're all not good at something, right? What are you not good at, Michael? Nothing. I'm good at everything. No, but,
no, not really. I wish I was a better carpenter.
Okay, we'll come back to that, right? But so, you know, what I've observed is that, you know, have you ever heard of the book? It's by this former Secret Service, not Secret Service. I don't know. Voss is his last name. It's a book called Never Split the Difference. Have you heard about that book? Never Split the Difference. And, you know, he's a negotiator, hostage negotiator. I don't even know what FBI, CIA. I don't remember. So, you know, when you read this book, first of all the kidnappings of Americans all over the world, it seems so common, right? So it's kind of scary that they have so many of these negotiations. So they'll be on behalf of the government, right? And so, you know, it's a lot of stories, analogies, but how it fits towards life. And, you know, the biggest takeaway, you know, that I got from that book is that, and, you know, this kind of goes back to Trump, what we learned from Trump and COVID too, and so never split the difference. And meaning that in the analogy that he uses is that, you know, if, and just say you and your partner, business partner, your wife or whatever, right? One person thinks you should wear black shoes and the other person says you should use brown shoes, right?
Right.
But you know, what we do in these situations, a lot of times you try to compromise, right? And that would be like wearing one black shoe and one brown shoe. Well, nobody's going to be happy when you do that. That compromise isn't the outcome that we should be working towards.
No.
But someone has to influence or be influenced that not only do they wear the black shoes or the brown shoes, two of them, but the other person has to be okay with that decision too. They can't just let the other person. So it takes, like you said, leadership, but it takes influence and persuasion to get the person to willingly, joyfully, enthusiastically agree that we are going to wear brown shoes. Because everything else is a loss, right?
Exactly.
And what and what the Trump era and then COVID, which probably has, they're probably tied together, right?
Yeah.
Is that everybody has a different view of what's going on. I mean, they can see Trump talking, it's the greatest thing in the world, or the same exact words they are saying he's just the devil reincarnated, right? They're saying the same thing. And, you know, I've heard it described by, you know, Scott Adams, 2 movies on one screen.
Yeah.
People just have their own perception of what's going on.
That's right.
So whether it's, you know, your business partner or it's your friend, but your wife, you know, they're going to see the same thing differently, right? The same exact situation because of their past, their traumas, their whatever happened to them. They're going to see the same exact scenario and want to see a different outcome or think it should be a different way. And that's genuine in how they feel. And you can't say, Come on, everybody thinks that. My wife will say to me a lot of times, come on, a fly on the wall, if they were listening to this conversation, or anybody who would see that, I was going, no, they wouldn't. I can make a strong case that they would easily see it the way that I see it. That there's, in their reality, it's no such thing as what the truth is. Just like I said, COVID medicines, this and that, and even after all this time, is how many have backed away from the point of view as time and distance and everything. Notice they don't talk about those, not breathalyzers. What's the ventilators, right?
The ventilators.
Like how many people did that kill? Right? So we made a decision like that. Went into mass production. That was the way to go. Science told them that. And why don't they even talk about that anymore?
No.
Somehow they were able to wipe it clean. Oh well, we made a mistake. Right.
Exactly.
So even scientists don't even agree on what black and white science is supposed to be. That's why, getting back to fitness is when, people talk about, this study of what causes hypertrophy better than what's optimal. I'm going, come on. You really think that's science? You had 5 nerds that all know each other that stuff. They're the only ones. It's a fit guy who isn't very muscular, but loves fitness. And so he's going to create his distinction, not by being the biggest guy with the best physique. He's going to be a guy who works out, who has the most studies, who's the smartest guy.
Exactly.
Amount of muscle. That's how we all want to be different and the king of our own category, right?
Yep.
So he and his 5 friends are making up all these studies, right? And it's like, first of all, come on. Who really cares about that, right? We couldn't even get it right with life and death on the line, in the global economy crashing, right? So, science isn't really science. It's a lot of interpretation, or that movie that they're seeing, right? And so in relationships, if someone sees it that way, you can't say, oh, they're just doing this, or whatever labels they want to put on. They really see it that way, right?
Exactly.
But
I think you're right.
Yeah.
There has to be a leader. Like I just played in a tournament and I needed a partner. So I met this guy, online in the villages, and he was 52. So I had to play in his age group. I had to play some amazing talent. I mean, some of these guys.
He's just playing golf and tennis all day and pickleball.
Yeah. So this guy, he was a very good pickleball player, and we had to play doubles together. So we had to learn how to play with each other. So I'm a very dominant personality, so is he. But I took the passive role, and I let this guy completely build the whole game around him. And I was in the supporting cast, and we worked together for a month. And when we played in the tournament, I mean, he kind of froze. And since everything was designed around him, a hard hitting game, he was hitting in the net, he was hitting it long, he was nervous. And we played these 2 5-0 guys. This guy hit me so hard right in the mouth. I thought he knocked my tooth out. I've never been hit with the ball.
I don't know what's that mean.
They destroyed us. I mean, we lost the first 2 games. We lost 3 games in a row. We were out.
What's the term 5-0 mean?
Like very, very good player.
Okay.
Like
the ranking. Okay.
And I mean, these guys could be they could be pros. I mean, there's no weakness in their game. None. Nothing. 2 guys like that.
Yeah.
And I worked for almost 6 weeks with this guy, and we played some days 6 hours a day, playing, learning, and to play with each other. And we lost the first 3 games we played, we were out of the tournament just like that. And it happens. But we kind of laughed it off, and it was an experience. You know what I mean? And so you can't get upset about things like that. And you just have to learn from it and move on. And that's kind of life in general. You're going to make mistakes, you're going to succeed, you're going to fail, and but as long as you have that end game clearly in mind. So if your fitness is there, you want to be on point with your workouts, you want to be consistent, you want to be on point with your diet and your food choices. And so you're constantly learning, you're consistent, and you're disciplined. And you have to be, those three things have to be in anything you do if you want to do them well. Right?
Yeah. Right. And a
You
lot
know,
of people use that as the foundation, but you just can't stop there too. But yeah.
I could never understand the concept of, oh, I need a cheat day, because the way I eat is just, it's killing me. I mean, I haven't had a pizza in years, ice cream. I mean, we don't eat that stuff. You know what I mean? And I see all these recipes on TikTok.
I can't tell you that probably for months, but
I mean, there's so many restaurants here and everything. I hardly ever go to them. And all these recipes to make, this food, that food. I mean, I eat the same thing every day. I went grocery shopping today. What did I buy? I bought all meat, and $93 worth of meat. And that's it. I had a burger tonight. I didn't have a bun.
Yeah. Is your wife super fit? Probably not a 10 out of 10.
Well,
like you.
All right. What's interesting is she's a type 2 diabetic. And I finally went to the doctor with her, and I told this doctor, metformin she's on, and she's on, they just put her on Jardians, and I was like, all right, enough's enough. And so I got her one of these wearable monitors, glucose monitor. I'm telling you something, I want to get one of those for myself, and I'm not diabetic.
Right.
And once I started learning and watching so many videos on insulin and glucose, it really changed things. Sugar is just the death of you. I mean, you can be hitting your macros, but if you're eating a lot of sugar and you're elevated in your insulin, you're not going to lose that belly fat. I don't care how many pull-ups and sit-ups you do in the gym. It ain't going to happen.
So what changes? So did she, like a regular healthy person, and then what changes did she make?
She's always eaten very well, but what I'm changing now, and we're just getting into this, is we've got her levels down. And now what I've got to do.
They don't understand that, right? They don't understand that. And diabetes is something, because of whatever reasons, the chances are you're gonna get it when you're older, right? The body.
Well, if you're insulin resistant, and you can create that, and if your food choices are bad, then you can become type 2 diabetic.
If you go onto a regular diet with regular foods, you'll eventually do that. And the thing that's scary is that if you're pre-diabetic or diabetic, and I think we're getting to the age where thinking about dementia, they call dementia type 3 diabetes. Like it's an indicator if you have it. So tell me, correct me if I'm wrong, the medicine it doesn't cure it. It just So you gotta eat right. You don't eat regular and then take the medicine, where you can do with diet. So what were those changes that she made instead of just eating like a regular healthy person?
Like not getting up in the morning, and bad choices at night. Like you're hungry, so at 10 o'clock at night, eating peanut butter and crackers. All you're doing is spiking your insulin. You're spiking your glucose. So now insulin has to be produced to get that glucose, those readings down. So if you just stop eating, snacking is the death of you. I mean, people say, Mike, you don't snack? Sure, I'll have hummus and carrot sticks. Because all snacking is, it's like the olden days when people started smoking cigarettes. Thank God I never picked that up. It's just a habit for something to do. And that's all snacking is. And I'll tell you this was the big key for me. I had to learn the difference between what was hunger and what was a craving. A craving, you can ignore it. Hunger, you should feed it. And that made a world of difference for me. So in other words, if you're not hungry, then why would you turn to sugary processed food to sit there at 8, 9 o'clock at night and eat? Because all you're doing is spiking your sugar, now increasing more insulin into your body. Your insulin levels stay high, and now you become insulin resistant, which means you will never get rid of that fat around your belly and your midsection. Never. You've got to control your insulin levels and get them down. And you do that by not eating so often and let the insulin come down. And then when you eat well. Like I always have avocado, fresh avocados with every single meal. I just lather it on like you would butter on bread.
Yeah, no, I'm a big avocado guy myself.
No, it's good fat, good fiber. You know what I find the most difficult thing to do in your macros is eat 30 grams of fiber per day. Very difficult, you know, because of the food choices are so bad. But if you eat well, you will get thin. And boy, when you're thin, it's just a wonderful life. Clothes fit you so well. I mean, everything looks good on you. It's almost like a badge of courage today to be thin.
That's, you know, I have a lot of men who, you know, they're sitting around, you know, 22% body fat, and they're the big guy, right?
Yep.
You look out, right? And they look great in an extra large t-shirt.
Yep.
Right? But, you know, they're not going to be proud when they take it off at pool time.
Exactly.
But it looks good, you know. And so every time they diet, they can't see, you know, they think they're losing their muscle mass. They're not losing their muscle mass.
No.
And they got to learn what to be lean and mean and feel and buy a smaller shirt, right? And look amazing in a large instead of this extra large, because there wasn't a real size. But you know, I always say God puts a price tag on every journey, right? He's going to challenge you, and the challenge is you're not going to immediately, when you start losing the size that's really, you know, marbled fat with your muscle, you're going to start feeling loose in your clothes, and then people are going to say, "Are you still working out?
Yeah.
Right? Are you sick? Whatever." And then they just freak out and they want to eat back up again and come back to that dieting later. But you got to skip past all that mental tribulation. And you do, like you said, get large t-shirts and look $1 million bucks in a large t-shirt.
I wear small, slim cut, tight fit, and they're not even tight. I look for extra smalls, and when they're there, I buy them. It's unreal. It's so wonderful to be that size. You sit down and your stomach curves in. Like right now, I feel like my stomach is just pulling. It curves inward. I have no stomach at all, nothing. And it's a wonderful feeling.
It's just that gap from where they are to where you are. You got to know what you're doing, and there's too much uncertainty. They always retreat back, you know, to what they know.
You just gotta focus on sugar and try and eliminate it from your diet. Take one food. Like I used to eat a lot of potatoes. I love potatoes with every meal. I had this Blackstone griddle outside, 36-inch. I gave it away, and I used to make tons of potatoes, hash browns, and I'd eat those with every breakfast, and I'd log them in my macros. Those things were making me fat.
Yeah,
I had to cut them out. I haven't had hash browns, potatoes in probably 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't eat potatoes anymore.
Yeah, the first level, they got to count their macros. They got to count their calories.
Right.
And not skip to quality of food. Because if you just skip to quality of food, you're eating too much.
Yeah, no, too much for you to handle. But once you get your macros dialed in, I mean, I don't have to count macros anymore. I don't do that. I can look at a plate of food, tell you exactly what's on it.
Well, you know,
but it's the food choice now. It's like learn how to read the ingredients. Like anything with soybean oil, all those oils, those weird oils, just put it back on the shelf.
Yeah.
I mean, read the breads, read the can, read peanut butter. Why isn't peanut butter peanuts? Period. Why does it go on for 5 sentences? Something ought to tell you something there. You see, don't eat that stuff.
Longer on the shelf, so they can.
And then bread is a real problem. Everybody loves bread. I love bread. I'm Italian, but white bread is the worst. Yeah. Now what I do is I buy my bread out of the freezer section. Some of those breads are pretty good. And if you look at them, 2 grams of sugar, that's not bad. You see what I mean? And I buy it out now. Does it taste really good? like the keto bread, that stuff tastes like cardboard. It is what it is. Slather some avocado on it and have a fried egg, and it's fine. You know what I mean? But you know, but you got to look at your food choices, because once you dial your body in and you lose all that weight, then it's just a wonderful feeling. Yeah, I can't tell you how wonderful it is.
Yeah, and once they get there, they'll never go back. Then it will be
no, you'll never go back.
You're missing. If you don't know, really, you know what you're missing. But it doesn't. You'll realize you've been living this world in the gray, like the old Wizard of Oz, right? The whole movie was in gray, but and it turns into Technicolor.
Exactly.
That's what the difference is, but you know.
I know. And alcohol, I mean, it's not worth it. It's not worth the calories. It's not worth the taste. I mean, is a $15 martini really worth it? You know, I don't think it is.
Alcohol is something we've definitely been hypnotized to believe is good for us. And there's nothing but money that's driven that whole market to make actual poison to your body, to alter your state so you don't deal with your problems. You have something to go to that creates alcoholism and dependency and ruins generations of families forever, right?
Exactly.
You know, with alcohol. You know,
I don't drink it anymore. I don't have any beer in the house. And in the villages, it's happy hour everywhere. You order one beer, they give you two. I mean, how are you even supposed to drive home? You know, that's why we all drive golf carts, so we're not in our cars. I'm not kidding you. And you know, I drink water. That's it. I drink water.
Yeah. Well,
you know,
I really appreciate, you know, what we're going to talk more on this. As we kind of develop this show talking about life, because it is more than what I really loved about what we talked about. They can see me as a former 6-time national champion drug-free bodybuilder. It's easy to make me as an outlier, right? And that's fine. Yep. And I kind of am how I devoted my life, right? But when you see someone like you, how you think, how you think of, you know, about, you know, bread or alcohol or, you know, whatever it is, and see a real life person also has made a lot of good choices in life, and, you know, may not be an accident how they all tie in together, you know, too. But with you talking about it, gives them a different perspective and hopefully inspires them on how a person like you thinks, you know.
You know what's amazing is about a year ago, I was in the gym. It was around 5 o'clock. Never forget this. This big guy, really big man, comes around the car. I figured he was I figured he was around 80. He comes around the corner, falls down like a ton of bricks. They worked on him for over 40 minutes. EMTs came in, their personal trainers. I mean, they bring him out of it, then he'd go back, and he didn't make it. And I looked at that and I said, you know, that guy, his wife is probably home, probably making him supper. He's coming home from the gym, probably just retired, got his house in the villages, you know, he's going to have now he's going to lose all the weight. And he died in the gym floor. The next day I came in and I said to the guy at the desk, I said, what happened to that guy anyway? I didn't make it. I said, how old was that guy anyway? 61. That guy's 61.
Yeah.
And he didn't make it.
Yeah.
But he was probably 250 pounds. You see, you know,
250 pounds, how tall would you say he was? Because I got a lot of guys.
Probably my size. Imagine me at 250.
Yeah. You know, they see themselves as a big guy. It doesn't matter if it is kind of muscle. It's too much for your heart.
It's too much.
Yeah.
And everybody, you wouldn't believe all the knee replacements and the hip replacement. I mean, everybody's got scars on their knees. And I beat it with food. I got rid of all the inflammation in my body. Now, are my knees healed? No. I got all kinds of arthritis in both knees, but nothing's nothing's swollen, so nothing's rubbing. You know, so many people, I got bone on bone, I'm having the knees replaced. I wasn't going that route.
Yeah.
I changed my diet.
Well, what do you think about it? We'll end it with a controversial subject. If you were young, would you do more reps with lighter weight, knowing what it does to the joints, or would you do heavier or fewer reps and train the body part less frequency?
I've always been a heavyweight guy.
Yeah.
I've always lifted that as heavy as I can. I always felt like doing 15 curls, you know, at X, you know, I'd rather just up the weight and do 8 or 7. But I've never counted reps. What I do is I work, like today, I'm on the bench. You know what I mean? 70-pound dumbbells. And I'm pushing and pushing, and now I'm failing. So these are the reps I came to the gym for. Not, it's like watching the Tour de France. They got to run those guys 100 miles before they tire them out, just so they can sprint the last 2. But they got to run them 100 miles because they're that strong.
Yeah.
See what I mean? So when you go in the gym and you say, all right, I'm going to do 8 reps, and you drop the weights and you still add more, that was almost a waste of time, because your body already knows that. You got to, because you know it. You're on that bench and you're pushing that weight, and it's really hard. And now you say to yourself, okay, now this is rep number 1. Could be rep number 9, could be rep number 12, could be rep number 6 on these heavy weights. But now you're going to see, how many can you do? Can you do 2? Can you do 3? And those are the reps that are going to make those muscles tear. And those are the ones that are going to build. Then you're going to go home and you're going to eat right.
Yeah.
You know, and then you're going to sleep like a baby because you worked hard.
Yeah.
You know what happened to me in the gym one day? I had my headphones on, so I'm in my own world. I go to the water fountain to get some water. This guy says to me, typical in the villages, right? He says to me, you know, he goes, I don't really appreciate all the grunting and dropping the weights down and stuff. And I took my headphones on and I said, excuse me? I said, am I in the wrong places? This is the gym, right? I come to the right place.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything to the guy with his stomach like this. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not there to insult the guy. But you can clearly see that he had a problem in the way I looked compared to the way he looked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's I come to the gym to work. I'm going to be there 40 minutes or so, and I'm going to work hard. I'm not there to play on my phone. I'm there to push myself beyond what I can do and to work to failure, and then I'm going to leave.
Yeah. So my battery's bleeping.
Yeah, that mine was doing that. I'm back up to 25. But that it's a pretty simple formula. You know, it's like work your muscles and work your diet. The diet is 80-90% of it. You got to dial in the food, or you're never going to look like you go to the gym. You know, that's kind of the way it is. You're always going to have that smooth look. You're not going to have that cut rip look, you know, like Skip looks like, you know what I mean? So just learn how to eat, read those labels, and get rid of the sugar. The sugar will kill you. It'll keep the weight on you, and you know, you know, once the inflammation drops off, you're going to feel a lot better. Your joints are going to thank you for it. I'll tell you, that's for sure. My joints, my knees feel great. They feel great. They're loaded with arthritis and they feel great. You know what I did? I tried to get into a stem cell test group. You know, so I'd get free stem cells injected in my knees, and they rejected both of my knees. Did MRIs, they did all kinds of tests, and they rejected both of them. Said they were too far gone. And I said to the woman, I said, you do know I play singles pickleball level. I'm like a 4-7 rated player. I said, how can I do that? And I play like 3 hours, 4 hours at a time, you know, 6 days a week. I said, how can I do that? And I'm in the squat rack at 315 pounds. I said, how do I do that? Deadlift 405. And yet you reject these knees. And I see the other people in the waiting room.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And they look average, and they're getting in, and my knees are rejected, yet I have no pain. It's food.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We're going to come back on better than expected. We're gonna next one. We're gonna talk about the nightlife at the village, right? Everybody's heard about that, right?
We got live music 365 days a year in 4 locations. Live music every single day.
So a lot of stuff we talked about. Yeah, let us know what you found interesting, right? We're just kind of riffing it at the show. You know, I know podcasts are really important. You know, the training, the nutrition. You know, we can fuse that in. You got to hear about Michael's values and how he looks at fitness and how he makes it part of life. You want to see what a guy who looks so amazing and is so strong and functional at 6'7", he can climb into his mind. We'll do that a lot more on this show. A little bit of entertainment. You know, using this social media thing, your phone, as a source of entertainment fitness wise. All right. So that's going to do it for this this broadcast. Let's take on the day with a sense of urgency. We have to when we're a little bit older. We've got more time behind us than we do in front of us. Have a great night. Thanks for being here.
Have a good night, people.
All right. Take care.
Bye, guys. See you, Skip.